everybody, it's Matt Pinfield. Welcome to our Deadcore winner interview with the Dead Deads, and I'm really excited to introduce the man himself. And he actually grew up in a town called Delton, Michigan, which is not too far from Detroit. He was a big fan of rock and roll from the time he was a young kid. Really loved guitar music. Grew up liking things in the 80s like Rat and Motley Crue and many other bands, Ozzy, Alice Cooper. I'm sure the list goes on and on. Regardless, he's always been a big fan of rock and roll. He's actually a grandfather, a father, and music is the most important thing in his life besides those kids. And what's really cool is he discovered the Dead Deads through Instagram and ended up going to a show in Fort Wayne, Indiana. He met the ladies and he just was blown away by them. So I'm really excited to introduce him right now to interview the band. Here he is. It's Nameless Dead.
Thanks, Matt. That was quite an introduction. Appreciate it. I'm excited to be here to do this interview, and I'm thankful that you all are allowing me to do this.
Our pleasure.
Right. First, what everybody I'm sure is dealing with right now is 2020, right? Finally behind us, and I don't know that 2021's been a whole lot different yet, but can be hopeful. So what were some things through last year that you did to cope and survive and get through it? Because obviously it was just such a different world than what we were used to prior to that.
Sure. I guess it caught me a little off guard because I had a surgery right around the time it was starting. So I was already staying at home for a month. And so it was kind of a very organic stay at home for me right into the pandemic. But I think that it started with, I canceled a birthday trip. And so, of course, that's a little bummer. And then obviously our tour got canceled, which is a bummer. But I think immediately, honestly, I guess I just felt grateful that I was in a situation where I had a support system and I wasn't bearing the brunt of it by myself, because I know a lot of people out there didn't have that. And so I guess for me, I guess my coping mechanism, would be counting my blessings, doing a lot of positive reading. I don't know. What about you guys?
A lot more TV.
Yeah.
Caught up on shows that everybody's talking about, which I don't normally. I mean, I do watch some TV, but I definitely increased it quite a bit.
I remodeled a bathroom.
Yeah.
Nice.
I learned how to use like a 5D program to visually see it,
Ooh, cool.
I dove deeper into a computer, being isolated, and practice drums and stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. But if you could take, one of the most positive things that happened in 2020 and just articulate that, what would that be? What was the most positive thing that came out of it?
For us, it was that, at least we thought that we were going to go out with the darkness, but then we ended up getting another 6 months to work on our record. So it was, for better or for worse, Daisy made the point once that just because you have longer doesn't make it better. But I think we did, in the end, really come to something that we were all really excited and happy with. And you don't often get an opportunity as a touring artist to just sit there and listen to your work and think about it and just make decisions about it. And we got to do that. So I don't know if that's the most positive thing, but as far as the band goes, I felt like that was a big gift that we got, was extra time for our art.
Yeah,
For sure. Yeah. Besides that, personally, just spending time with family, my son.
Yeah.
Yeah. Reconnecting with family.
Yeah.
I definitely talk to my family more on the phone than I did before.
That's great. So what I want to do for some people that might not be as familiar with you guys as a band and you know what makes the Dead Deads the Dead Deads. One of the things is the dead names. You know, I was wondering if you would each, you know, kind of give a little backstory or origin story for your dead name, and you know, just kind of, you know, let everyone know where it came from and why you have it.
I can start because I've had mine the longest.
Okay, that works.
Well, just like anything, or not anything, but there's lots of bands out there that where they use, you know, stage names or whatever. Like the Ramones comes to mind, and we were just, you know, doing it for fun. So there for a second, I was going to be Hella Dead, because I liked the pun of that. But then as I was trying to figure out how to be like fiery and like, you know, like hell devilish or something, it just wasn't clicking for me. And then I had a bouquet of daisies on the table and I just was like, Daisy. And I kind of put it together and put a flower in my hair and it was done. And it fit me.
Yeah, definitely does.
Yeah.
Well, I had the same thing where I had a different dead name for a while, and my dead name was Doom based because I was listening to a lot of doom metal at the time, and I kind of always have. And I was wearing these like apocalyptic kind of glasses, and I just had this whole like apocalypse thing. I would wear these capes that had kind of like rips and stuff in them, and it was just this kind of. It reminds me a lot of like how 3D Dead. When he's going all out, like what he does, that was kind of what I was doing back then. And for those that don't know, 3D Dead is a member of the deadcore that a lot of us know really well. And so my style was kind of like that, and I was called Doomy Dead. But then like everyone thought that was a sexual entendre of like doomy, and I never even thought of that. And so
So innocent.
we were all kind of figure out like how do we address that, because
So rude.
how do you just change, like, yeah, it didn't even occur to me, but like, so then how do you just change your dead name? Because isn't that your dead name forever? So we were like, what if you like can level up and change your dead name? Like you get more powers or something. And we just joked around with the lore. And so then I said, well, okay, I'm leveling up and now I'm going to be meta dead. And the reason for that, I guess, is because, well, twofold. One, I very, very, very much love when things, when art kind of like references itself, and I do that a lot in our songs, and I do that in a lot of the art that I do, and so I really liked that idea. And also it still kept that metal thing going where I had a little bit of the metal still represented, so that's where I got mine.
Nice.
Oh, where did I get my name? I guess from
That pantsuit.
yeah. I don't know. Y'all will probably tell the story better. I don't know. Who named me? I can't even remember now.
I think Meta came up with it, and that was like, yes, this is it.
Well, she's just, I mean, when you get to know her, it really makes perfect sense. But yeah, she had this incredible Alexander McQueen all white pantsuit that she wore in her wedding, and it was just so. It was, I mean, she was featured in freaking T magazine or like Times or something. What was it?
New York Times.
New York Times, because it was so it was just so flawless.
Badass.
And so yeah, they put her like, it was like talking about white suits for weddings. Whatever, it was amazing. So that kind of tied into basically the just super stylized and stylish way she carries herself. So
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
So, and Daisy, you kind of alluded to that you had yours the longest, but I mean, and for myself, and I think a lot of people that I know that happen to know you guys as well, Daisy has just kind of just become your name.
Yeah.
I mean, is that really true outside of the deadcore and outside of the band stuff as well?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
That's how just how well it fits you. I would
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. In general, actually, I mean, I guess it's okay if you call me by my birth certificate name, but I generally prefer even like Sweetie Honey, you know, so I prefer nicknames.
So even going back a little bit further in history for each one of you, who or what was it that kind of initially planted that seed of wanting to get into music and to be a musician and stuff, you know, for each one of you?
I know my parents love music, and I think for me, like how I got started is like one year when I was, say, 7 or 8 years old, my aunt and uncle got me a little Casio keyboard just as a gift. They weren't like, here, now you will play music. It was just like, I don't know what to get for kids. This is a thing that's at Toys R Us. And I learned the songs that were on it. And then the piano at school, I was playing on it. And then when my mom came to pick me up, she was like, what? My child plays piano? And so then she was like, well, shit. And they went and got a piano and got me lessons, etc. And that was that.
So what other instruments do you play? Obviously, piano you mentioned, and bass. We know this.
Yeah, you know, like when you go through school and then they do the aptitude test or whatever, and to go to band, and did that, and I did trumpet there, and then much later on, it's more to the origin story of our band, but Miss Meta was like, I need a bass player real quick, can you learn it? And turns out I could.
Nice.
Very easily and quickly, I might add.
And in weird time signatures, I guess. Yeah.
Not back then. That's not hard for me, but
Yeah.
nah.
Obviously.
That's a different skill. So yeah.
What about you, McQueen?
Well, I played piano growing up a little bit. But when you talk about like when it comes to like being interested in music, really, I was going to church and my dad played music there, and then I saw the drummer playing and I felt like he was playing this really basic beat, and I was like just kind of intrigued with playing the drums, and I was like, I think I can do what he's doing. And so I just went and did like a really basic beat, and then my dad was like, okay, I'll get you a drum set. And you know, I got a drum set, and then we jammed for, you know, middle school to high school as I played in church and stuff. And I don't know, that's kind of how it started. And I was hooked from then. So.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I guess I just have always done it. I feel like I tell this story too often, but basically my mom was a pianist, and she heard me making up a song outside and was like, asked me if I was making it up. And I was like, no, ma'am. I thought I was in trouble for making up a song. And she's like, no, it's cool if you do that. That's a really neat thing to be able to do. And the next day she gave me a little like Casio tape recorder and showed me how to, or a little cassette recorder, and showed me how to push play and record. And a couple of days later, I had like a full 5-year-old's album that I gave her of love songs. So then she was like, something's weird. And so she got me piano lessons, and it kind of all went on from there. But I don't know. I just always had it in me to tell a story. Obviously, anyone who knows me well, I'm socially a little shy or whatever. But once you get to know me, you can't really shut me up ever. So I guess it was just in me to tell a story. And so for me, the music just came second behind the story, and the singing it's probably just genetic, right? Because like your parents listen to cool music, and so you listen. Like my mom would take me to Peaches, and I'd buy albums when I was 3, you know. So I had like a Prince record when I was 3 years old. Like, so it's just like kind of natural that if your parents are buying you Prince records, you're going to have all of that just adds up in your brain and adds up until you're like, I think I could do this. And you just start doing it. But I've always felt I was a hobbyist until the Dead Deads, honestly. Like the Dead Deads.
I would say, as you've been telling that, it also reminds me that we grew up here in Tennessee, and like when you came to Nashville, there's also a lot of, as far as do it and pursuing it, because there's that whole just group of people and your friends, they have bands, and that also inspires you. And there's studios, and there's just so much of it in the air. It's like a thing. It's not that unusual. It's just like a thing that everybody does it, right?
It's just so natural. It's a natural progression. And I talked about this on Twitter the other day, but in my hometown, almost every band had a woman in it, and there was tons of bands. So like I grew up, it never even occurred to me about I wouldn't be in a band. Like I like music, I like making up songs. Obviously, I'm probably gonna find a band at some point when my parents let me go out past 8 p.m. I'll probably join a band. So,
Yeah, like going to punk rock shows and stuff. It's
Yeah.
a lot more accessible that way too, instead of just only going to big shows and just feeling like, oh, that's a huge thing I can't do. When it's tiny little punk rock shows or even singer-songwriter stuff, it's like, oh, well, that's accessible.
yeah, that's 2 steps away from my living room.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, it is definitely quite a different environment around here than it is back where I grew up. So, and like you say, Daisy, it's just far more accessible, you know, on many different levels and many different reasons. Just people that you know are out doing stuff. So now, as far as with the band, with the Dead Deads, was there anything, any particular sound, band, writing influence that kind of pushed it in the direction that it is, that you wanted, as far as the sound of the Dead Deads and the feel and all that kind of stuff? Was there any outside influence on that, or is that just kind of a product of who you guys are writing together? Because it's definitely unique, I think.
I think it's mostly a product of us writing together and just being together and our different influences. But as we write songs, sometimes we very intentionally, it'll be like, just as a starting point, like, what song have you been jamming? Or like, I think I really love this song. I think it'd be cool if we did something like that. And it's just, you know, just to get your brain flowing. And often it comes out nothing at all like that. But it got us going.
Yeah. I think too, for me, like growing up in where, like, and maybe this is true for all 3 of us, I think it probably is, like, everybody's like, what's your biggest influences? And it's not the bands on the radio, it's like your friends and your friends' bands and like the local people you look up to, or like, you know, for McQueen, probably like whoever her favorite local drummer was, she was probably just trying to write something that they would think was cool. Or that, like, for me, like, I was always just trying to write something that someone locally I respected would be like, hey, I really, you know, like that, that resonates with me or whatever. So I think looking back on influences, it's basically each other, and then, you know, the other local bands that we play with, or people, you know, that we respect. At least for me, I find I'm really driven. It's not competitive necessarily. It's just like, I want to be inspired by the people around me, I guess. Or just like you see Hailstorm play 30 shows, you're going to come off that tour being like, man, I want to have a song that does what this song did.
Right.
Yeah.
Joe from Hailstorm always talks about, like, he would always say, like, you got to create moments in a live show. And so that's really what we're inspired by, is like, what is this going to be a moment? Like, are we creating a moment with this? That's really a fun puzzle to solve. Like, how is this going to feel live? Is this going to be a moment? And that comes from Joe, just, you know, so I think you're inspired too by like tips and just like, hey, you should try like creating this kind of thing or that kind of thing. I don't know. It's very inspiring. Every time you come off a tour, you come away with just some little spark to do something that you saw happen that worked. Such a magical live band, really.
Oh, they're so good.
So every band and almost a lot of, you know, different processes happen with different songs and stuff like that. But is there anything that you guys have any one process that you kind of feel is the most productive or gives the best results in songs that you guys come up with? You know, as far as obviously, you know, I don't know, maybe lyrics come at the same time you're doing music and stuff. I don't know.
This is a craft question, Art.
I can't figure out what the question is.
I think, yeah, so this is a very specific songwriting question, but I think what you're saying is like, is there a method of songwriting that works easiest or most fluidly? And for us, yes, it's we all get in a circle and just one of us starts with nothing. So you start with nothing, and then it's like somebody starts. So if that's, I mean, and I would have to say, I really think most of the time it is Daisy writes great riffs. So like it might start with like, she writes this riff or
Thanks,
something.
Amanda.
Yeah. And then, so then it's like, okay, well.
And the McQueen.
I'm like, well, that's weird, but let me see. All right.
A lot of times I'm just like, my mind's just automatically going to singing because newsflash, I really don't care what I play on guitar. I don't. So sorry, guitar people. Like, I don't. Like, if it comes to the solo, I care, and I love tone. So I care about tone, and I care about, the bass line a lot. But as far as like, I'm not working out dramatic parts because I'm a step ahead of whatever my guitar is going to be. I'm thinking like, what do I want to say or what, so I'm already kind of like singing over them two and just like, I'll figure out whatever it is we're playing later. Whatever I'm going to play, I'll find that later. But if I didn't start the song or whatever, but yeah, I think just like saying go. And that takes a lot of, and we take it for granted because we have such a good trust circle. But I think that takes a lot of bravery for some people to just like play something, not knowing if it's going to be good or not. But for us, we just can trust each other enough that it doesn't matter if it's good or not. It's just like, what about this? And sometimes you stumble on what, was our lead single for our new record, which was Daisy just being like, what about and and then you're
like, y'all can do this.
And then McQueen's like,
I was like,
all right.
All right.
And I remember when we were writing that song, I was just like, I'm playing along with it. It's going great. And I'm like, what if we hop up here and play the exact same riff up here? And it's like, okay, yeah, that's really great. So we're doing that. A lot of times I end up coming in with choruses. We just finish each other's sentences, but in a musical way, I guess. But with that song, that song's especially funny writing process because it was our exact typical way we would do it. But then the whole time I was just like, how the hell am I going to sing over this? Like, how am I going to? So my whole focus during that writing session was not what am I playing, but I was like, yes, I can play all that. Put that aside. What am I going to sing over it? So
yeah, and there's not in it. So that's where it ended up as far as putting it out as a single. But like, it's also just we're just playing around. It's like an exercise too. It doesn't have to go anywhere. It could die on the vine right there. But then sometimes it's like, no, this is a fun challenge. Let's stretch ourselves and and if it still doesn't, if we still can't make it work, after a couple goes at it, then we'll let it go and try something else. But yeah, it's also just fun to do that.
That's the best lesson I think anyone can have the best discipline is don't be too precious with something that came out of your amazing brain. Just let it go. Like, I don't care how cool you think it is, you're gonna come up with something cooler. So if it's not working, just throw it away and just make another one. Or don't throw it away if you're a riff hoarder, just put it in storage and just make a new riff because your lyrics, rewrite them. If someone says, if it's like the lyrics aren't working, whatever, just throw it out. It feels bad, but in the end, it's fine and you'll do something better.
Yeah, and you could sleep on it and then figure out the puzzle anyway. Like it's not like you're killing it and erasing your memory and like it never happened. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, you just can't take it too seriously. You have to just explore fearlessly and delete fearlessly.
good. Excellent advice. Because I know from my experience, one of the hardest part is just just kind of just getting everything meshed together, and there's a song. It's one thing to have lyrics, have maybe a melody and maybe guitar stuff, all different places, but bringing them all together, and I'm speaking mostly, from my standpoint as, not having a group to kind of bounce the ideas off of kind of stuff. So,
Yeah. Do you start with lyrics?
I have a lot of lyrics. I have a lot of riffs. So I don't know which one starts it.
Oh, okay.
Both, either way. That's whatever. I mean, we never do lyrics first. I don't think we've ever done that in this.
I was trying to think if we did.
I don't think so. I really like writing lyrics at the same time I'm writing music. I really don't prefer. So even if I'm by myself writing on acoustic or on a piano, I'm still, my mouth's going, like I just want, because I want it to inform each other. So I really like doing it all at once. So it's rare. I guess if I came up with some brilliant line, I might write it down, but I'm not brilliant. I never have.
And well, and you're figuring out like the melody as we're writing it. And then even getting like syllables and vowels figured out. And then sometimes it's like literally the words are coming right out and they stick.
We have a song that will be on the new record that we have performed out live. I think we just call it like 6/8 because it's in a 6/8 time signature. But that's a song where as we were writing it, the actual lyrics for the song were just coming out of my face. Like I think by maybe 3 times through of like kind of developing the structure, I basically had a full concept of what I wanted to sing. So it's just like one of those things. Sometimes it just, but also, going back to the, I've been doing that since I was 5 years old. So
Right.
You just have to give yourself permission to be weird and do that. Like so I gave myself permission at 5. If someone's giving themselves permission at 45, they can't expect to just write a whole song, but it will come over time. Like you just have to give yourself permission to be silly. Like eventually it turns into actual great stuff.
Yeah, that 6/8 song, since you brought that one up, that was crazy. We used to call it the 10-minute song because we wrote it in 10 minutes.
We put it on the chopping block because for a minute we thought it was a 10-minute long song. We forgot
so we like
what it was.
Exactly. That was like the voice memo after we recorded the voice memo. It was like, okay, what songs have we written in the last whatever? And like, 10-minute song is like, oh, I don't want to even listen to it. And then you finally go and listen to it. You're like, that thing, that's awesome.
Yeah. It ended up being a real favorite song for us. It's just really fun to play live. It's really easy. I like the character I play in that song vocally. Like I just like the story I'm telling and I like the way I'm being with my voice. It's just kind of rootsy for us, like Pixies-ish and Weezer-ish and just kind of fun.
Yeah.
It is a good one. I do like it as well.
One chord progression.
We
We only have 2 songs that do that.
The whole time.
It feels good. You should try it. Clean is the verses. Distortion is the choruses. There's your song. Put your
That's me.
over it.
I'm on 2 different octaves.
Yep.
I'm like the high octave on the verses, the low octave on those choruses.
It's the Nickelback way, and it's very easy. So start there if you don't know what to do.
All right. That's just really good information, and and it's good to have that insight into how you guys do that. Now, almost every band has their fan base, and obviously you guys do as well. It's the Deadcore, and you guys planned that from the beginning, right?
Not from the very beginning, but it was early.
Early on.
Yeah.
Really, we came up with the name and you guys did a lot of the rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I
what do
think,
you,
and even no, it was. I don't know who it was, but it was somebody on Twitter, even doing their like getting dead names. Somebody, I think, jokingly was like, I don't remember who it was now, but it was like, well, what's my dead name? And then it was like, and then like we just started doing it.
one of the reasons I, kind of what leads me to believe, there's some planning involved, and maybe it's kind of a separate thing, but you, early on you started out with this Rebel Rank Up program that
Yeah.
you had.
So that I can't explain that. So it was when we came up with the idea for calling, because everybody had like, I think the reason is because early on we hooked up with Hailstorm and they had a name for their fans. So it was like, well, what would we call our fans? And everybody's doing that now. Like every band has a name for
Yeah, like Little Monsters.
Back then I don't feel like that was as much of a thing, or maybe we just weren't in that scene enough to realize it because we weren't really in that scene. Yeah. So but the Rebel Rank Up thing happened because we realized like we wanted to play a lot of shows so that we could get better at what we were doing, but we didn't want to burn. We were like, well, people, once they see us once, like maybe twice, like they're not going to want to keep coming to our shows.
Yeah.
And we were like, what if there was a cool way to make it like, no, this is just a club. Like, let's just get together and hang out. And, it's like a contest, like who's going to show up the most or something. So we were just joking around about it. And yeah, I don't remember if me or my sister maybe made that list or something, but it was just, yeah, we put that on the website early on and with the little thing you could take your picture with. And I don't think we really thought,
oh yeah,
but it was totally, it made it so much fun. Like, so we had this thing like you take your picture with it and it's got the date on it to show like you were there at that date. And then everyone's
and you get to take your selfies, and it was definitely it's fun.
Mm-hmm. But we didn't think it would make the amazing, beautiful, multifaceted family we have now. We were just like, yeah, that would be, if we had fans, that's what they would be called. And if they came to more than one show, they could do this. And it turned into what it is now, where we've got people that have been to almost 100 shows. So pretty crazy.
So what is it that you feel that sets the Deadcore apart from other fan groups? Because I definitely think I'm part of a few different fan groups, and I definitely think that.
What do you think?
Yeah, tell us.
I want to hear what you guys have to say from the.
I don't know, because I am not in a fan group, I don't think, of other. So I actually don't know, but I would say, I mean, it feels very diverse and yet like a family, kind of just everybody supports each other and accepts one another for who they are. And I think we have, because we're weirdos, I think we've attracted a bunch of weirdos, lovable weirdos. And it's great.
Yeah, that's just inclusivity I guess would be the main thing I would think. Like I'm in the 10 club with Pearl Jam. I'm in like They Might Be Giants fan club. If 311, like there's certain clubs I've been in like since for years. But it's not like I'm not hitting up other fans in those fan clubs like, oh, let's go to the show together. We've never met. Like that's something new that you guys showed me is a possibility. I guess I might do that in the future, is hit up somebody from the 10 club and be like, I don't have any other friends. Do you want to go to this show with me? That might actually be more of a They Might Be Giant situation, because I really don't know that many people that like that. But I guess that's what it is, and it really sticks out to us at certain points in time, especially if politics are at a fever pitch. We have people on both sides of the fence that are big time supporters of us, and we've had people say like, I used to have stereotypes that I had about this type of person, but now that I've spent time with them in the Deadcore, I realized that I was wrong. And if we can do that even a little bit, if we can have that effect even a little bit, that's pretty huge. I know, to us.
Yeah, I would agree with everything that you guys said, and that's I think one of the biggest things that sets the group apart is like what was said is this, that I've built relationships with other members of the fan base, and I really haven't done that, not to nearly the scale with any other fan base. The closest I can that I can say is with other fans of Hailstorm, you know, and that's those are the only other people that I've and some of them cross over between the two
Yeah.
fans. So
We've seen a lot of that between Hailstorm and with the Bush Army also.
yeah. So that's been, you know, just the love and acceptance and family kind of feeling of the group, you know. So
Oh, that reminds, I do see sometimes with different fan groups, just looking on Twitter, when people complain about is they get into like factions, and I don't know over what, but like, I don't know. But yeah, they split into factions, maybe like who's the bigger fan, and like, and because if somebody doesn't do a thing, or they do a thing, or if you also like this kind of music, then you can't also be a fan of this other band, and then they get mad at each other and stuff. I see people complain about that with other.
how is that inclusive at all when people do that?
I just don't think it's one of their priorities. Like,
One, no, I'm trying to remember, but like one that came to mind was like in the Ghost fandom. And I've only just seen the side of the people complaining about the factions, but where like, I don't know if you guys know, but like there was a time when the Papa or whatever, like the lead singer dude, he kept like wearing these pants that showed off his bulge. And so then the ladies would like objectify that and like really get into that and do pictures and like, oh, I see what he's wearing and stuff. And then some of the other fan base was like, oh, that's rude, and like, you shouldn't objectify him.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
Not sure where to go with
Yeah,
that.
I guess that sets us apart. We don't have any of that going on. Oh man.
So
Maybe I should try a new pant.
Oh, you mean with the bulges?
I'm gonna start showing off my bulge.
I mean, we definitely get objectified a little sometimes, but it's okay. We take it in stride, and I guess everybody else does too.
Yeah.
So remember live shows?
I do. I remember them.
I mean, probably not, it's not quite as far back as some of the other stuff we've talked about, but you know, when you guys did live shows, you know, actually in front of people and stuff, and
Humans.
yeah, humans-ish.
Yeah.
But do you guys have any routine that would help you to get focused or hyped up for doing a show?
Mexican food.
Mm-hmm. Gave us a lot of energy normally.
It didn't get us hyped up, but Mexican food's kind of something that has been a friend all along, or foe, however you want to look at it, but it's something we tend to do for some reason.
It's comfortable.
With that.
We like putting our hands in the middle and saying we're a band before we play. I don't know that that's a routine. We used to get swole before shows, but then we got swole and I was like, well, now we're swole. I don't know that we need to keep getting swole. Like for about 2 years, we would do squats and push-ups before every set. But then we got swole. And so we don't do that anymore. Can y'all think of anything that we do?
I think just have fun.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Do you feel like there's anything you guys do or is it just you to get into character of your Meta, Daisy, McQueen?
I think we're us. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I like to usually have a shot of whiskey before I play. I guess my main thing is I'm not supposed to talk. And so if we're actually on tour, my main way to get ready for a show is not talk as much as possible, which is obviously almost impossible for me. So a lot of times I just have to like disassociate, like just like, okay, well, whatever you guys are doing, I'm gonna go do something else, because if I stay with you, I'm gonna have fun and talk, and then I won't have the energy I need for the show. So really the only energy that I have to have is like that vocal energy. And I've had so many good mentors over the years, like between Lizzie Hale and then now Justin. Justin saved my life on the Kiss cruise, just because we were doing 75 minutes every night, and he was just like, the only thing you can do, he's like, there's no potion, there's nothing. You just have to go to your cabin and sleep as much as you can during the day, which of course is the lamest thing that I possibly did not want to do. But I ended up I did it several days just because it's the only way you could get through set after set of screaming at night. But so yeah, vocal things are like the only thing I have to do. Physically, I think we just have fun.
Yeah, I mean, we're setting up merch, and I guess there's a lot of just like getting your ducks in a row and getting all that. And then at that point, you're already kind of chatting with people around. And I guess by the time we're at the venue, we're just about there, because we've just had the Mexican food.
We've eaten, we set up merch, we set up our gear, we sound check. It all kind of just becomes a blur.
Yeah.
What about after a show? What's the preference everybody has? Is it, to keep the party going, or is it just, ready to just chill out?
I think it's a chill.
Yeah, it depends on the next day though too.
Yeah. I mean, I think especially all the bands we tour with are pretty much on the same page with us. When you're the first couple nights of a tour, maybe you're getting to know everybody. So like on the Kiss cruise, of course, where it's like a big mixer where you're just meeting everyone, and you kind of do your damage the first couple nights. Then you have like a really tired day, and then you get into business maybe. But yeah, we tend to keep it pretty chill. But we have fun amongst ourselves, but we have a good time. But we generally, a lot of times we're driving overnight too. So it's like leaving, and then you're getting in the van and caffeinate and drive all night. So
you don't really have a lot of time for that. Even local shit. I mean, because you still have to like drive the van away. Yeah. So you kind of have to still
get drunk or something.
Yeah.
So you mentioned touring. That used to be a thing too. Hopefully it comes back soon.
It will.
Well, of course it will, but I'm hoping it's going to be sooner than later. Of course, that can be a grueling process and stuff like that. But also, I know because I've heard stories from various people and stuff like that a lot of pranks and shenanigans can happen on tour, and that sort of thing. What are some of the most memorable things that you guys have either pulled on somebody else or witnessed or had pulled on you? It's just the most amusing or interesting, memorable thing.
I like at the end of our Stone Sour run, I think it wasn't Indianapolis, or was it somewhere in Indiana, where we had the whole like front 2 rows, I think, wearing X glasses. So when Stone Sour came out, everybody was wearing Dead stuff.
Hailstorm tricked us pretty good. They changed our rider so that we always had flaming, insane hot ghost pepper salsa on our rider. So basically rendering our food inedible.
Yeah.
And we got it every night, and it was our very first tour, and we didn't know, like, everybody else had normal salsa, but we had nasty, like, too hot salsa.
Yeah, it was crazy. Who was it? Yeah, we figured out because New Meds got the same thing, but theirs was edible.
Yeah, we just got the nasty one. I think Detroit did that to us.
Yeah.
Hailstorm's person that was in charge of that stuff. I always loved when Dolly Dead would dress up as Daisy Dead.
Oh yeah.
And with the other bands, like so Shaman's Harvest, he went out and danced while they were performing and actually made them stop their, like, they really messed up their songs. He was like dressed up in Daisy's clothes with a flower and just dancing sexy all over them.
Yeah, that was,
They messed
what was
up.
that, Cincinnati?
Yeah.
Oh,
he
we did that similar in
Either.
10 years. Oh yeah, Either.
Oh, at Stone Sour, he just covered, to make fun of all their tattoos, he covered his body in like My Little Pony and like Paw Patrol tattoos on all his arms. Because they specifically were like, do not have that dude come out and dance on our bands. So, yeah.
I got Dale though. They agreed to, I switched my bass out because they you know, when they change out guitars and basses and stuff. So I worked with the bass tech and like put mine in there. And so he handed that to him. So
And
he had to play.
He played the Daisy bass that was covered in flowers.
Yeah, he got it all tuned to whatever it needed to be. And then he just handed him that and got the strap, you know, longer and stuff, and then handed it to him and he played his song on it.
Puts it on and doesn't notice it for a second, then it's like, oh, what the? That's fun stuff.
As I said, I mean, you know, when 10 Years came out and he was dressed as Daisy, but that was a prank on us.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Jesse dressed as Daisy.
Yeah.
That was fun.
And he stayed in that for a long time too. Like after he performed in it, and then I remember hanging out with them afterwards, and he still had that dress on.
Dresses are cozy.
Well, he used to wear them all the time. That was like, now he's doing like a jacket with gloves and stuff. But when we first met them, he was wearing a dress like pretty often. So I think that's kind of his jam. At least he feels at home in it. So it was a good excuse to revisit past outfits, I guess.
Yeah.
Of the bands you've toured with, who have you enjoyed the most being on tour with?
Oh Lord.
Couldn't choose.
Yeah, I don't think.
I
I really don't have an answer to that question because all the tours are wonderful and all the bands are wonderful for totally different reasons for us, I think.
Maybe Hailstorm. Just because I love their show so much. I love all of them, but that's also the one we've done the most.
It is okay to have favorites.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean the other ones are any less.
I think part of it too, I guess what I pull into the equation is what was the actual tour like? Like,
right.
One of our Seether tours was, I mean, I think hands down the most enjoyable road-wise tour we've been on. Like, it was so fun. We got to go to Yellowstone. We had like, you know, there was friends and family that would fly out and do parts of it with us. It was just a really like well-rounded, fun. So it's not just the band, but sometimes just the journey that makes it the best.
Yeah.
I feel like as far as that stuff goes, that tour where we went to Yellowstone as a group, that was probably my favorite tour I've done.
What sort of unusual things did you have to deal with in making this album, you know, as opposed to other ones? You obviously said you had more time to work on it with the pandemic and everything, but what were some of the challenges in putting it together?
There weren't that many.
The most amazing part was that it was the first time there weren't any real major challenges. I think
choosing the songs and choosing like because we wrote so many and so many awesome songs that we did have to put some off as bonuses just because it was just like so long. So song selection was maybe hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it was more like what was, you know, there was some new fun things like there's horns on this record. Daisy plays trumpet on it.
And there's a whole lot of other horns too.
Yeah, there's other horns too. Our friend Jason Threm plays sax, and then there's some additional horns as well. But it's I think it ended up kind of being like Rainbow, where it's just like a really the pandemic made it where we had more time to look at what we were saying and what the story was going to be, and we just really wanted to make something telling everybody that everything's gonna there are still positive things we can stay focused on. We just want to make something that was empowering, and if people listen to it, it would brighten them up and empower them, make them feel better, stronger. I don't know, like if that's possible through music. I think sometimes it is. That's what we were shooting for anyway. So that's I guess that's not a challenge. That was just kind of a goal, if that makes sense.
Definitely. And definitely excited to hear more from it. And beyond what's been released already. So
Get ready.
Do you have any other do you want to do one more, Art? Was there one burning question you had?
A burning question?
I feel like you had to X out some stuff you cared about and you felt like you needed to include the record. Is there something else?
Well, I just had some other stuff. It wasn't really, like because
I didn't want you to feel gypped, that's all.
I appreciate that. But no, I just I had no idea what to plan for, how long to, how many questions or how the conversation would go and that sort of thing. So it was just a matter of, making that decision. And
well,
and I know the importance of the album, and I'm really, really looking forward to that as well. So.
Cool.
Well, we just want to thank you for all the support you've given us. And
yeah,
there's a reason that you got to do this interview, and looking at your wall behind you, you kind of people are going to kind of get an idea of what that is. You are the perfect example of someone that works hard to support the bands you love, and we really appreciate you.
we do.
And there are the ladies, the Dead Deads with Nameless Dead. Did a great job on the interview, asking questions that I know a lot of you fans really wanted to know the answer to. I thought he did an amazing job, and I'm sure he'll get the chance to do it again sometime in the near future. He's been to 57 Dead Dead shows, so I think he definitely qualifies as one of their biggest fans. So thanks so much for doing that. Nameless Dead with the Dead Deads, and we'll be back with you soon. I'm Matt Pinfield. Thanks so much for joining us.